Beginner's Guide for Player Unknowns Battlegrounds. These tips and tricks here should maximize your chances of winning this Battle Royale style shooter. It's a very difficult game to play. Even the best players in the world aren't going to win every time. If you're playing solo, you have to be the best of 100 different players that join the game. If you're playing with duos, you have to be the best of 50 teams. And if you're playing with 4-man squads, you have to be the best of 25 different teams. The odds are always stacked against you, and the best we can really do is try and maximize your chances of getting to that end game. The very first tips I have for you guys are things that you can do before even getting into a game. First thing on the list is going into your graphics settings and taking your foliage setting and setting that to low. Unfortunately, this isn't going to make the game look as pretty as it does when it's on high or ultra, but considering the foliage renders thick grass or bushes that you normally wouldn't see, it's actually a huge advantage to set this to low instead of high. When I first started playing, I thought I was laying down in some thick grass and nobody could see me, when in fact on the other player's screen I'm just laying down on the side of a naked hilltop. So it's kind of comical, but also a huge disadvantage, so make sure you set this to low. Now the next tip I want to cover is one of the first and most important decisions you're going to make in every map, and that is where to bail out of your airplane. There's a lot of different things that should affect this decision. If you bail towards the outskirts of the island, you might be less contested when you have to try and loot buildings and find good gear. You may not run into as many players. However, statistically, you're more likely going to need to do a lot of traveling towards the beginning of the game, which means traveling over large open areas. This is certainly doable, but the more you have to travel in big open areas and the less time you have to sort of survey your surroundings and try and move tactically, the higher the chances of you getting ganked by somebody camping in a bush or behind a tree are going to be. So basically, the more traveling you have to do or that you're forced to do because of the encroaching circle, the higher your chances of dying. Now, if you commandeer a vehicle, sometimes you can sort of zoom to the center of the circle and find a good building to hide out in or something like that, but that is assuming that you can find a vehicle. Now, there's this cool little map that Shatter NL made. He posted it on Reddit and a few other areas like Steam to help players figure out where the loot is and the vehicles are on this map. And this can help out with figuring out your strategies and where to jump. If you want to go to an extremity of the map, you'll probably want to pick an area that has a pretty high chance of finding a vehicle so that you can move around quicker. Vehicles are very valuable. In fact, if you are parachuting down and you see a vehicle on the road, it might be worthwhile to divert your drop so that you get the vehicle instead of going to your loot spot, because then you can use that vehicle to drive out to further extremities of the map that other players can't get to, and then you can loot it all uncontested. Now, when you physically bail out of the airplane, sometimes if you're bailing over a target that you're right above, you can aim straight down. This will allow you to plummet towards the earth even faster, around 230 kilometers an hour. And if you're actually going at this maximum speed, you will fly a little bit past your opening point. And this will allow you to open it at a lower altitude, allowing you to get on the ground before a lot of the other players, unless they're using the same technique. This can be very useful if you're just going straight down for some highly contested loot and you want to be the first person there. Now, once you land on the ground, you get your bearings, you fight anybody that landed right next to you, and then you start looting items. It's important to understand your loot, what gear you're picking up, and kind of how it all works, because looting quickly is a big part of this game. You have to know what you need or what you're going to try and collect that round so you can do it as quickly as possible and move on to the next area. Understanding capacity and what increases your capacity is important. That's how much gear you can hold. Picking up a level 1 backpack increases your capacity by 150. A level 2 increases it by 200, and level 3 increases it by 250. Furthermore, if you actually pick up some torso armor, that will increase your capacity by another 50. Regardless of whether it's level 1, 2, or 3 armor, you'll get 50 bonus capacity. Now, picking up armor and helmets is going to be very useful. Level 1 gear is not bad by any means, and you should absolutely pick it up right at the start if it's all you have available. Obviously, the higher level gear is better, but it's not going to necessarily make or break a firefight. The different levels of armor mitigate the same amount of damage, just level 3 has more durability than level 1. If you end up killing your opponent and they have some damaged level 3 armor on them, chances are that level 3 armor is going to be worse than some brand new level 1 armor. So just look at the armor level points available, and that'll pretty much dictate which armor you should pick up. Almost always damaged armor is going to be worse than brand new armor. Now, when it comes to helmets, these can prevent you from getting one-shot killed by headshots. They'll actually provide physical armor protection if you get shot in the head. However, if you get shot in the face with a level 1 or 2 helmet, it's not going to mitigate any of that damage. When you get the level 3 helmet, though, it does have a face protector, and that will stop one-shot headshots, especially from the SKS or the Kar 98, which can be very lethal at range. Now, say you've got a bit of a feel for the game, you're better at surviving for longer periods of time and winning firefights, chances are you're going to be taking a bit of damage during firefights, or maybe you'll get stuck in the circle for a bit of time, and you'll take some serious damage and need to heal up. Understanding the difference between med kits, energy drinks, painkillers, first aid kits is important, as these can all be used in conjunction and for different purposes. Bandages are the most common. They'll heal a small amount of your HP. You can use multiple of them, and you can heal up to 75% of your health. First aid kits work in the same way, except they'll instantly heal you to 75% of your health. And by instantly, I mean during the duration it takes to apply your first aid kit. Med kits will heal you all the way up to 100%